And later I realized that there is nothing called a balance. If only there was a balance, it keeps changing. It's a very volatile term. It keeps changing. And depending on your day-to-day life happenings, depending on your challenges, someday you're able to contribute more to your goal. Someday it can be even 10%. But even the 10%, you should value it. You should treat yourself with kindness.
Dear Nectarians, welcome back to your podcast Nectarz Within, and I'm your CNK, and this podcast is all about mind, life, and soul. So the first question here is how to strike a balance between pursuing your goal or vision and enjoying the present moment also at the same time. So, what is your take on it? Because I knew you are that person, right? So, I'd like to know your views on it.
So this has been a struggle. Okay, I confess this has been a struggle, and I think for anyone who wants to go and reach that balance, if only they think there is a balance there, I realize that there is no kind of a balance. It keeps changing. It is not a finite value where, okay, from now on I have struck that balance, so it's going to be a cakewalk. Because I thought so. I assumed that, okay, there is something called a balance, and we are the only person who has not struck that, and I have to, do something to go find the treasure. Where is that balance? And I failed miserably. And later I realized that there is nothing called a balance. If only there was a balance, it keeps changing. It's a very volatile term. It keeps changing. And depending on your day-to-day life happenings, depending on your challenges, someday you're able to contribute more to your goal. Someday it can be even 10%. But even the 10%, you should value it. You should treat yourself with kindness. If you're going to beat yourself for not doing that 90%, then again that balance will be very far away from us. So this is my realization, and I am still in the process. So these days I do not go and look for, or I do not get desperate thinking why there is no balance. I don't want, let it be there. I'm going to take one day at a time, and on those days when I'm able to contribute more, I'll be aligned to my goal. On those days when my family needs me, when my daughter needs me, there will be days like 2 or 3 days straight where I do not do anything related to my content or any work. I'll be just devoted this side. So it's okay, it's fine. But ultimately we have to be kind to ourselves is my takeaway here when you said about the word balance.
Thanks, Swetha. And probably, is there any toolkit that you like to give? Provided you told me your philosophy about it. Is there any toolkit for you, or that you adopt, like to-do list or done list kind of it, that helps us to do this or measure it on a day-to-day basis? Because end of the day, if we have any tool that's handy for our viewers, is there anything else?
There was a time when I was getting very much frustrated with see so much I have planned, because I'm more of a planning person, but I don't know how much of it is contributing to my execution part. So morning I put a big to-do list, and then I won't be able to even fulfill 50% of it. And then every night when I go to bed, it'll be with that kind of a scarcity mindset. I'm not happy. When I go to bed, it's like I don't see how much I have done. I'll only see how much I have not done and why I have put so much. Oh, these things are going to get carried to the next day. That gives me kind of an overwhelming feeling. So then I started doing, done list. Instead of to-do list, I just shifted it, and every night I just write whatever has been done today. Even if I write 3 items there, it gives me a sense of happiness or a sense of accomplishment that, okay, I have done so much. Let me move forward and look at the next day with that hope. So a to-do list is a strict no-no for me. In this time, I opt for done list. that is giving us instant happiness. So anybody who's looking for instant happiness can try this.
I'm going to just adopt it right away. And that's a very good idea because I have my own to-do list every day, every morning, and I'll be so sad at the end of the day. But as you said, rather if you just focus on the done list, I think we have a peaceful sleep at least. Thank you so much for this toolkit. And this takes me to the next question. You are a person who has this instant fire for growth within you. So that's, I call it as a fire in a fire which keeps you alive to achieve your dreams. On the other side, we have something called pressure. It could be peer pressure or pressure that you create yourself, like a pressure cooker. So, how are you able to regulate it, and what is your take on it and views on it?
Thank you, Kiran. It's a very wonderful question because it allows me to think, deep. Uh, One thing is I do not have peer pressure, thanks to the our field what we have chosen. But on the other side, a difficult part to it is, since we do not have peer pressure, since there is no one to compare, or no the exact work, there will be a lot of content creators in in a specific field, but our journey, our timeline is completely different. When I started, how much time we have invested or what we are generating out of it, all these parameters are completely different. So not of a peer pressure, but the next word that you said, it rightly suits me, the pressure that I put on myself, that is creating a huge problem. I'm trying to regulate it. I don't want to uh, mask anything here and say there is no pressure, it's all good. There is definitely pressure, but I will confess that I'll accept that this is the pressure that I create on myself. And what is happening is, the more the pressure I put on myself, the focus is less, and hence I'm not able to produce the better outputs. So this is my realization out of this pressure and fire, as you said. Yes, that is my driving force so far. It's not just with this YouTube journey or being in my presence on social media. It's not just with that. Since a kid, I was always carrying that fire. That fire was no, there was not a day when, okay, there's no fire inside. No, it's always there. It is the driving force for me, silently. Some days it will be very silent, some days it will give me that motivation. Some days the same fire, when the pressure is added, it goes out of control and completely puts me off, where I just cannot think anything productively. you know Fire can be both good and bad use, right? So good use of fire is also there. Really destructive use of fire I have seen, where it just overwhelms you, it just occupies, it destroys you. I'm saying, when the pressure is more, yeah, it will just take away everything. There is absolutely no creative thinking, no output. Forget about outputs. You won't be yourself. So that phase was also there. As you said, we have to keep the pressure within limits. If that pressure is in controllable limits, we'll play the game really well. I'm not saying there should not be any pressure. Then we will be very lethargic. Okay, I have that weakness. I play with extremities. Either I'm like too much pressure or no little pressure, I will go into that lethargic, lazy mode. So it's like kind of FM tuning. You exactly tune it on that frequency, you will hear the songs. Otherwise, it's all going to be noises. So pressure, to me, I am trying to have it in controllable limits, and that little pressure will act as a beautiful kindling force for that fire, and that will make changes, definitely.
That's awesome, Sweta. I just like to just go a bit deep into it. Is there any tidbits that you use or adopt to regulate that? For example, you told based on your life experience, at times your fire is so enormous it just erupts, and sometimes your pressure is very less. So, is there any simple toolkit?
It's just that I learned to label my emotions. I feel that really helped me to go a long way. And this was taught to me by my physiotherapist, and few of the exercises that she taught me, be it gratitude or self journaling. Labeling emotions does miracles. It's a very simple activity, which I follow, and like every other activity of meditation, exercise, we have to do it diligently or consistently to see the results. It's a simple exercise to label your emotion or feeling, what you're going through at that particular time. So when I say the pressure is high, and I'm not able to think freely, or I'm getting frustrated, be it with my health issues or be it with my creative journey or other life challenges, when I label my emotion, okay, or when I am aware about myself, okay, now I am frustrated, now I am angry, and what is the reason for it? When I write it down, there is so much of clarity. And when I put it on paper and when I see it in my eyes, then it just calms me down and it gives me that sense of coming back to the point zero. I'm able to really maneuver this stressful situation just by this one exercise called labeling emotions. No, it's a very simple thing, but once you label it and be aware of what you're going through at that particular time, it gives you a sense of calmness instantly.
That's so nicely put. I have my personal experience also, but I was doing separately, but now I can connect to it. I have my own relationship right now as well. I used to label my emotions. For example, I don't say I'm always angry. I would say I'm disappointment here. I'm not angry with you. But that small difference, I'm not angry, but I'm disappointment, brings a lot of clarity in my life and reduces the stress. Now I can just, relate to you.
Definitely. Also, when you tell about, there is a small difference. I am angry and I am disappointed. There is definitely, we can't say actually a small difference. There is a vast difference between both the sentences, but we confuse. When we are very frustrated, we confuse both these terms. That's where, this particular thought called fact versus opinion. Say, I failed my exam. Okay. This is a fact. But in my mind, I am a very dumb person. If I keep thinking about it, I am a dumb person, I'm a stupid person, I cannot succeed in life. It's because of one fact I create a lot of opinions surrounding it. So through this labeling of emotions exercise, I'm able to realize that what is actually happening, and the thoughts that we create over it is actually enormous. There is a huge gap between what is happening and what is in our mind. So when we put it on paper, there is clarity.
So nice. A big takeaway for me today. Also, a new concept, which is fact based opinion. Nicely put. Thank you, Shweta. With this, let me take you to the next question. Yeah, I, I hear your story. I have walked through you with a lot of, timelines. One thing which I observed keenly is you are a person. If it is, if there are 99% positivity, 1% of negativity, I would rather say it directly, negativity. You just focus on what is not working. You always focus on what's not going to work rather than focusing on just 99%, which will really work beautifully for you. So you have this idea of focusing on the worst, thinking about the worst things happening to you. And contrastly, you talk about positivity and optimistic on the other side. How this focusing on the worst is actually helping there? Is it even helping there? I'm just very curious about it.
Okay. Thank you, Kiran, for this beautiful question. So I'll just make a small correction. So focusing on the worst case scenario, with me, it is an event of the past. Now I have what do I say? I've drifted from that particular zone drastically. But there are instances, definitely, even today, something really that affects our family or that affects our health. Then this particular, something that was always with you, stayed with you through your childhood, it doesn't vanish. So that will be. But now I'm in a much better position to handle it. it instantly, as I said, labeling, it instantly gives me awareness. Swetha, no, you're focusing on the worst case scenario. Earlier I was doing it without my knowledge. Subconsciously it was running in my mind. The doctor will be saying something. Subconsciously I won't be inside the doctor's room. I'll be somewhere thinking about some other place. I'll be thinking about what next. That what next actually creates an anxiety. Correct? So it is through the result of that anxiety is why I created that thinking of worst case scenarios. But getting to the realization that thinking of worst case scenarios, in no way it is going to help me. It is only going to put me or make me feel even more depressed. No, that realization slowly it comes as we age, or as we mature, as we get experience, as we read a lot. So now I am in a better position to even handle it and say, yes, I'm thinking about it. This is not something I should focus on. Shift my perspective. So secondly, when you ask about the work that I'm doing now, because I got all this realization, how many of them are putting it into the world and saying, hey, see, these are the stuffs. It is so natural to happen. It is not a sign of weakness. From this we can actually grow, because I am growing. It's a very simple answer. I have faced all this, and I have faced much more challenges. Like everyone will have their own bag of challenges, hurdles. So I have my own share, and from what I learned, from what I observed, here when it comes to the word observed, uh, along with other traits, I have this intrinsic trait of the power of observation. I observe life, I observe people, I observe my happenings. Now people can even term it as sensitive people, where people say, okay, they are very sensitive to whatever that's happening. Now, sensitive, I am a sensitive person. To me, sensitivity is strength. And then I will come to a point to say everybody is sensitive when something affects them. Until and unless it affects them, everyone is fine. I'm also not sensitive to something that is not going to affect me emotionally, right? So this power of observation contributed so much to my writing, and I wanted to give a form. That's why I always say I do not I don't want to be termed as a motivational speaker. I always want to be a person who talks about personal growth and bring real stuff to light. I choose to talk about weakness because that was not there. Now there are many people who bring that to light. To me, that's a very positive sign. But the only thing is, we just have to take the lessons that suits our life. If that works, take it and grow. Yeah. So I just wanted to do that, to create that impact, and I thought I have this power of observing things and putting it into a sense where everyone can understand. So I wanted to just keep doing it repeatedly. Yes.
Very nice, Swetha. And to just put a nutshell, so maybe everyone has this, mostly people have this idea about focusing on the worst case, and they just, they have this anxious situation created for them. So if I infer in what you said, putting in more observation on your thought process helps you to eventually drift away from focusing on worst case to what's possible and the most possible situations. Am I right?
Definitely, definitely. The more you observe, the more you start seeing inward. It definitely contributes to your ideology of thinking about, okay, what if I can succeed? What if this plan works out well? What if I get that promotion? What if I don't is what is bothering our mind. But this possibility also stays there. It's just that we did not see. We did not even look into that angle. So yeah, the power of observation and the patience and self-belief in oneself will definitely help. Thought for the day, and the proverbs will be written on the blackboard. Know your strength is one of the thing. Okay, but since then I had this thought of why we are not talking about weakness. Why nobody wants to know their weakness?
Dear Nectarians, thank you for listening. I really appreciate your time. I hope you liked it. And if you think it resonates with you somehow, please share, subscribe, and like the video. And forget not to click on the bell icon. And please leave your insights in the comment section. Can't wait to read them. And with that note, thank you, thought then, namaste, and vanakkam. Let's spread our sparks and spread our nectars.